Belorussia, 1943. A Polikarpov U-2 descended through fog above the treeline. Its engine sputtered, one wing punctured by tracer fire. The pilot's gloved hand steadied the control stick, calculating glide angle by instinct. Below, German flares pulsed across the forest like veins of light. The plane held altitude for 12 seconds, then tilted left. A release lever clicked. 2 bombs detached silently into the dark. The aircraft vanished behind the fog curtain. It was her 30th combat flight. No one had expected her to survive the first. The Eastern Front in 1943 existed as a geography of attrition. Lines shifted by meters, not kilometers. Villages erased by artillery, roads clogged with wreckage, forests turned to mud. The Soviet Air Force operated from improvised clearings, aircraft hidden beneath camouflage nets woven from reeds and canvas. Each night, bombers departed in pairs, flying low over German encampments, train depots, and supply bridges. Fuel rationed to the leader. Bombs carried by hand from trucks to wing racks. Every launch recorded in a ledger, every loss reduced to coordinates. In 1941, after the German invasion, the Soviet Union formed 3 all-female aviation regiments under the command of Major Marina Raskova. Her order carried Stalin's personal authorization, female pilots to serve under combat conditions equal to men. They trained at Engels Air Base on the Volga, an experiment born of desperation. One regiment flew Yak-1 fighters, another PE-2 dive bombers, and one, the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, flew the obsolete Polikarpov U-2. A biplane designed in 1928 for training and crop dusting, built of plywood and fabric. Maximum speed, 125 kilometers per hour. Unarmored. Unarmed except for small-caliber pistols in the cockpit. Against German searchlights and anti-aircraft batteries, it appeared suicidal. But its slowness, its silence, and the discipline of its pilots turned fragility into advantage. They flew by moonlight, engine cut at target, gliding to release bombs by stopwatch timing. The sound of their descent resembled the sweep of a broom through air. German soldiers called them Nachthexen, night witches. Lieutenant Irina Petrova belonged to the 588th. Age 24, born in Dnipropetrovsk, trained as student pilot before the war. Her file listed proficiency in meteorology, navigation, and mathematics. Her handwriting angular, precise. She volunteered in October 1941 after her training school evacuated east. She viewed flight as formula, distance, drift, wind, and payload. Emotion measured in fuel consumption, not fear. Her regiment's base in 1943 lay near the Belarusian frontier, elevation 70 meters above sea level, runway length 800 meters of packed earth. Operations conducted from dusk to dawn. 3 missions per night standard. Each crew composed of 2 women, pilot and navigator. Equipment minimal, map, stopwatch, compass, flashlight. No parachutes, aircraft too light to carry both bombs and survival gear. Uniforms consisted of oversized male flight suits cinched with cord, engines preheated by kerosene lamps, frost scraped from propellers before takeoff. Irina's first mission, April 1942, targeted ammunition depot near Kursk. Takeoff 22:48. Altitude 1,200 meters. Engine cut 5 kilometers before target. Bomb release at 22:59. Impact recorded 23:01. Anti-aircraft fire moderate, return 020. Debriefing line, mission successful, no losses. Her handwriting filled half a page of equations calculating drift compensation from wind velocity. Precision her defense against panic. Each flight followed ritual sequence. Navigators adjusted altimeter, checked heading. At 3 kilometers from target, pilot cut engine to idle. Wind carried the aircraft in silence. Bomb bay opened manually by lever between knees. Payload: 2 Fab 50 or 4 AO-25 bombs. Fuse delay calibrated to terrain. After drop, engine restarted with sudden roar, throttle full, dive to treetop height. Searchlights crossed the sky, anti-aircraft guns fired blind. The U-2, too slow for range estimation, often escaped untouched. Speed became camouflage. By 1943, the regiment had flown over 23,000 sorties. Losses heavy, 31 pilots and 26 navigators killed. Average survival expectancy, 20 missions. Irina exceeded it silently, one takeoff at a time. She recorded each on scrap paper, mission number, target, result, no names, only data. 28, completed by summer. The 30th approached during the Smolensk offensive. German intelligence underestimated the regiment. Their reports described small nuisance aircraft incapable of serious damage. Yet rail traffic decreased by measurable percentage in sectors targeted by the 588th. Depots burned, convoys diverted, bridges destroyed. At night, soldiers feared the faint drone of slow propellers above the forest. One Wehrmacht diary entry read, "They arrive without sound and leave the sky on fire." Maintenance crews worked under lanterns. Engines removed by hand, oil strained through cloth. Irina assisted mechanics, memorizing each system. Cylinder pressure 5.3 kg, CM2, fuel mixture 87 octane. Every deviation noted in notebook margins. Her technical knowledge exceeded that of many officers. She believed machinery responded to respect, not orders. Metal and wood, heat and air, variables bound by physics, not ideology. Fatigue accumulated invisibly. Sleep fragmented into intervals of 20 minutes between missions. Fingers blistered from vibration of control stick. Oil fumes embedded in clothing. By the 29th flight, her pulse irregular, hands trembled when signing log. Medical officer prescribed rest, she refused. Within regiment culture, refusal normal. The war demanded function, not comfort. Smolensk offensive, October 1943. Objective: destroy German supply line along Dnieper crossing. Irina assigned to third wave, departure 012. Weather overcast, ground fog dense. Payload: 2 100-kilogram bombs. Navigator: Sergeant Olga Mikhailova. Both recorded final words in operations log. Fuel: 132 liters. Route: grid 42-9. No radios, no escort. Engine malfunctioned at midpoint, cylinder misfire. Irina adjusted mixture manually, maintaining altitude by trim control. Flak bursts illuminated clouds. She calculated bearing by glimpse of river curve below. At target, anti-aircraft batteries engaged simultaneously from 2 positions. She cut engine and entered glide. Searchlights converged, silhouettes of towers visible for seconds. Bombs released by stopwatch timing, 10 seconds apart. Explosions registered through vibration rather than sight. Wings struck by shrapnel fragment, control cables severed. She regained partial movement using trim tab. Altitude dropped rapidly. Crash landing executed behind Soviet lines at 241. Impact absorbed by snow-covered field. Navigator unconscious, pilot semi-conscious, both extricated by infantry patrol at dawn. Aircraft destroyed by fire. Debriefing later classified forced landing, crew survived. Mission counted as completed. It was her 30th. In field hospital, she remained under observation 7 days. Frostbite, concussion, shoulder fracture. Doctors requested evacuation. She insisted on return to base. Within 2 weeks, she resumed limited duties. Instruction, flight planning, map calibration. Photographs taken for commendation displayed expressionless face, eyes narrowed against light. She declined promotion to staff. File note: prefers operational role. Her name entered regimental honor list for accuracy and endurance. Award recommendation: Order of the Red Banner, February 1944. Citation: for exemplary precision in night bombing operations resulting in destruction of 3 enemy depots and 2 transport bridges. No public ceremony held. Decoration delivered by mail envelope. Signature required upon receipt. She signed without comment. Stored medal in toolbox. German intelligence compiled dossiers on recurring Soviet pilots. Among them, one described as female, possibly commander, aircraft 3. 147. Repeated attacks on sector Smolensk-Gomel. Intercepted communications referred to her as the pilot who cannot die. myth amplified through absence of image. Her survival exceeded statistical probability, transforming data into rumor. Among Soviet units, she remained anonymous outside regiment. Among Germans, she became legend. At Engels Air Base, younger pilots studied her flight patterns recorded from gun camera film retrieved by infantry. Analysts noted minimal error in glide approach, deviation under 3 degrees across 10 missions. Her precision considered exemplary for training purposes. No direct interview recorded, she declined transfer to instructional staff. Her preference remained operational. Through 1944, she continued flying as the regiment advanced westward. Operations moved from Belorussia to Poland, each base established on captured airfields within 24 hours of seizure. Barracks tense, runways of mud and crushed stone. Weather alternated between rain and snow. Engines failed regularly, spare parts cannibalized from wrecks. Average flight time per night, 3 hours. Total missions by December 42. German forces retreated under constant harassment from air. Night raids on supply routes created persistent disruption. Convoys traveled under blackout, headlights forbidden. Each bomb small but cumulative, impact strategic. Historians later estimated 23% of enemy logistics in certain sectors lost due to nocturnal bombing, most by aircraft like hers. By the war's final winter, Irina's endurance reached mechanical limit. Flight surgeon recorded weight loss of 10 kilograms, pulse irregularities, chronic insomnia. She ignored all recommendations. Her operational count surpassed 60 by early 1945. When Berlin fell, her regiment stationed near Poland's border, awaiting redeployment. No parade followed. War ended not with celebration but with silence and paperwork. The surrender of Germany changed the airfields, but not the silence. Engines stopped, but discipline remained. Orders issued, units disbanded, planes grounded for inventory. Records transferred to archives under classification auxiliary female aviation. The designation reduced every combat sortie to a logistical note. The 588th Night Bomber Regiment, which had flown more than 23,000 missions, ceased to exist as an operational unit by October 1945. Its personnel reassigned to transport duties or discharged to civilian life. Irina Petrova's file moved with the others to the Central Military Archive in Podolsk, sealed, under index number 588 to 347. Her aircraft destroyed in combat, her medal acknowledged, her service complete. The war had ended, and with it, her function. She returned to Minsk in 1946. The city remained half in ruins, streets without names, buildings without numbers. She arrived carrying a small canvas bag containing flight maps and a worn logbook. Employment scarce. She applied to a flying club as instructor, listing qualifications identical to wartime record but omitting regiment name. Her interview lasted 7 minutes. Approved for training glider pilots under the Civil Aviation Committee. Her classroom a single hangar built from salvaged wood. Her teaching followed the same structure as combat, brief, precise, repetitive. Students remembered her gestures, not her words. She demonstrated control angles by drawing lines on floorboards with chalk. Her manner exact, unemotional. No mention of the war, no stories of flight, only instructions. Lift coefficient, drag, angle of attack, numbers substituted for memory. In official post-war publications, the all-female regiments appeared only in appendices. Male fighter aces filled textbooks, their statistics displayed as propaganda. Female pilots referenced as assistants, their missions recorded under auxiliary operations. When questioned by colleagues about wartime experience, she repeated only data, aircraft type, payload, flight hours. No commentary. Documentation replaced witness. In 1949, her file reopened temporarily during military review. Committee noted inconsistency. Rank lieutenant, yet no promotion since 1943. No disciplinary actions, no citations beyond red banner. Recommendation, promotion to captain, denied due to non-active status. Notation closed with bureaucratic finality. She remained lieutenant until retirement. Her regiment's name changed in subsequent histories, from 500 and 88th to 46th Guards Night Bomber Regiment. Later writers merged identities, photographs, and citations. Some names lost through transcription errors, others erased through indifference. The distinction between individual and collective disappeared. Irina's signature vanished with the rest. In the 1950s, Soviet film studios produced dramatizations of the Night Witches. Actresses portrayed composite heroines in glamorous uniforms, flying faster planes than the originals. None used the Polikarpov U-2, the wooden biplane deemed obsolete, unfit for cinematic heroism. Its image replaced by sleek metal aircraft better suited to spectacle. Irina refused invitations to attend screenings. Her colleagues attended silently, recognizing inaccuracies. Their war had occurred without cameras. By 1955, she instructed civil pilots under DOSAAF, the Volunteer Society for Cooperation with the Army, Aviation, and Fleet. Young cadets learned from her without understanding who she was. Flight reports bore her name as examiner. She corrected errors in trim calculation, crosswind landing, navigation. She spoke little. Her authority came from precision, not memory. To the new generation, she was simply Instructor Petrova. Archives preserved her wartime logbooks under controlled humidity. The ink faded, numbers still legible. Altitude, coordinates, bomb load, fuel. No adjectives, no references to fear or courage. Every entry a sequence of facts. Between them, silence. During de-Stalinization, war records underwent review. New historians catalogued forgotten regiments, restoring some recognition to the women aviators. Articles appeared in local newspapers. One described a pilot from Dnipropetrovsk who had flown 30 missions and survived a crash near Smolensk. No photograph accompanied it. Her colleagues recognized the story but said nothing. She continued teaching. Western intelligence during the Cold War still cited the Night Witches in training. Manuals, noting their tactics as models of low-altitude infiltration. German veterans' memoirs described the nightly dread of hearing cloth wings above them. Among their recollections circulated the story of a single woman pilot who returned again and again after being reported killed. They called her Die Unsterbliche, the immortal one. No name attached, no nationality assumed beyond Russian. Myth replaced record. For them, fear became memory. For her, survival remained arithmetic. In 1963, the Soviet Air Force honored the regiment collectively. Surviving pilots received medals marked 20 years of victory. Irina's invitation arrived late, her name spelled incorrectly. She attended the ceremony in uniform borrowed from museum storage. The medal pinned without speech. Group photograph taken, she stood at the edge, partly out of frame. Later, the photo appeared in a local newspaper captioned Veterans of Women's Aviation. No individual names listed. Her image cropped by printing margin. After the ceremony, she returned to routine. Flight instruction continued, then supervision, then office work. Her hours reduced gradually until retirement in 1972. She received pension letter for dedicated service in education of youth. No mention of combat. She signed receipt in blue ink, same signature as wartime reports. Her health declined slowly. Years of exhaust inhalation caused chronic bronchitis. Doctors prescribed rest, sunlight, and walking. She lived alone in a small apartment overlooking disused airfield. Each morning she stood on balcony at 7, watching gliders rise. Their wooden wings resembled those she had once flown, though no one else recognized the similarity. Occasionally, museum staff visited for advice on restoring old aircraft. She spoke little, but her eyes followed every movement of propeller blades with professional assessment. In 1980, one researcher compiling an anniversary history of Soviet aviation requested access to her wartime files. He discovered missing photographs, unsigned pages, incomplete records. Among the remaining material, a maintenance report for U-2 340. 7. Last entry, March 1943, marked damaged, pilot survived. The name Lieutenant I. Petrova faintly legible under carbon copy. He contacted Minsk Flight School for confirmation. The response brief, retired instructor of same name, no comment. The file returned to archive unchanged. By 1985, she attended veterans' commemorations sporadically. Her regiment's survivors numbered fewer each year. The speeches grew longer, the memories shorter. Television cameras recorded ceremonies for state broadcast. Her image blurred among others. The myth of Nachthexen returned, detached from individuals, serving once more as symbol of endurance. She accepted it as correction through repetition, fame unnecessary, precision eternal. When the Soviet Union collapsed, archives opened to public researchers. Historians from Germany and Russia began to cross-reference combat data. Among captured Wehrmacht documents lay translated intelligence briefs from 1944. One read, "Repeated precision bombing by female pilots, particularly unit identified as 588. Most dangerous, pilot designated 347. Responsible for losses at Smolensk supply corridor." Another note added, "This pilot presumed deceased after February engagement." Her crash had been reported but not verified. For the enemy, her persistence had seemed impossible. In 1993, a museum curator restoring a Polikarpov U-2 for display discovered faded stencil beneath layers of paint. Aircraft number 347. Serial numbers matched those of her plane. Inside fuselage fragments, a metal tag stamped with partial inscription, "Lieutenant I. Petro." Corrosion obscured remainder. The discovery catalogued under recovered airframes, Smolensk sector. The curator traced service history through archives, confirming assignment to 588th Regiment, 1943. He noted survival of crew, subsequent award and service continuation. File annotated pilot identified, Lieutenant Irina Petrova. The recovered aircraft assembled for museum display. Wings rebuilt, fuselage sealed with resin, propeller mounted. Exhibit caption, Polikarpov U-2 night bomber. Used by 588th Regiment, 1943. No photograph of crew available. No personal effects displayed. Only a small plaque beneath the cockpit. Pilot Lieutenant Ive Petrova. Visitors passed the exhibit without recognition. Children pressed hands to the wood skin, surprised by its fragility. Guides explained that these planes flew hundreds of missions per night with minimal equipment. They mentioned courage, sacrifice, legend. They did not mention that one survived 30 sorties, crashed, and returned to fly again. Her name remained in small print, her precision invisible. Irina Petrova died in 1995 at age 76. Obituary published in regional newspaper listed occupation as flight instructor, no military reference, buried in Minsk Cemetery, Section B, Row 14, Grave 22. On her stone, a simple engraving of wings without emblem. No rank, no dates of service. The silence continued, complete and symmetrical. Years later, researchers digitizing wartime records discovered her operational logbook among unclassified files. The pages contained flight data, bomb loads, coordinates, altitudes. No narrative. At the end, one final line written in pencil, 30th mission completed. Aircraft damaged, crew survived. Below it, no further entries. The handwriting small, exact, final. Historians reconstructed her record through cross-references, 60. 3 missions total, over 300 hours in combat flight. All verified by independent data. No exaggeration required. Her endurance unmatched, her anonymity complete. Her legend survived longest, not in her homeland but in enemy records that feared her accuracy. She had become myth by mathematics. Today, the Smolensk Museum remains quiet. Dust accumulates on restored biplane. Curators clean its propeller with cotton cloth once a month. Under light, faint stencils still visible, U-2 347. Lieutenant Ive Petrova. The letters nearly erased by time, but alignment precise. The wood grain preserved, the form intact. No music accompanies the exhibit, only the echo of steps across hangar floor. Above, ceiling lamps reflect on varnished wings like moonlight on water. She flew into history the same way she flew through war. Unrecorded, but never missed.